Mel, can you tell us what phone do you own? I want to know which phone are you using these days, so we all have an idea.
Yeah.
This is a very interactive course, and you're going to be asked to do lots of things during these days. I think we're all pretty much stuck at home, so it's going to be a great learning experience, even for me, with all the research I have done on phones. And I even discovered things that I had no idea. So looking good. So Mel, which phone do you have these days?
I've got an iPhone 10.
Okay.
I've had it probably about 3 years or so.
Yes. And how are you using your phone these days? What is the use you give to your phone?
If I'm going on a trip like the one we did in Colombia, I always will take my, my 35 millimeter camera, and I just use the phone as sort of a backup, or if we're walking around in the evening and I don't want to carry a camera, or just if I'm around the neighborhood or if I'm in the car and I see something interesting, I've got my iPhone with me. So I don't use it as a primary camera. It's sort of a backup and something I have if I don't have my camera with me.
Okay. So something that I want to share with all of you is that even though you see me with the big lenses, the big Leicas, the Nikons, and the Sonys, I'm using the phone as a tool. For example, I was just saying, I don't know if you didn't hear this, Mel, I was stuck on the Orion, and it took us 3 weeks to come out. We came out on a special plane, and there were 3 countries that did not allow us, come on land. I documented the whole thing with my phone because we were not supposed to take photographs of the whole ordeal. 2 of those photographs, they have already been published in media. Actually, I'll try to find the links and send them to you. So even though I was working just with this, and we all use it for phones and selfies and Instagram, it's a working tool. So if eventually you want to publish photographs or you want to get high quality images, it works quite well, better than you can imagine. So hopefully by the end of the course, you'll start using it with a wider view. What about you, Setting? How do you use your phone? You mentioned before that you just bought an 11 at the end of the year. And how familiar are you with the phone? And what do you use it for mostly?
Not so familiar. I just use the most useful function. I mean, okay. I didn't explore it a lot.
Okay, that's good. That's good. What about you, John? You mentioned the Galaxy. How are you using the phone these days?
Sorry, I had myself muted.
It's okay. It's okay.
Basically similar to what Mel is. If I take it and I'm with the grandkids, I want to grab a picture or something like that. I generally don't use it when I'm like on a photo trip or something like that, unless there's something that I happen to see. But I really don't use the camera as much as I probably should be.
Okay.
And probably I'm not as familiar. I know the basics of how to use the camera, but that's about it.
Okay, so John, because you're not using an iPhone, you're gonna have to do some extra work here. We can do it together because I want you to be very familiar with the phone by the end of the course. I'm gonna be giving you assignments and things to do. Some of my explanation, they may sound that they're more targeting the iPhone because it's what I'm more familiar with. So both you and I, we can look for those settings and those different things that you can do on the phone. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start slowly. And one of the things that I was trying to reinforce today is that smartphones are a real tool. Today is just an intro class to pick your curiosity, introduce each other, and also give you some initial assignments. And I'm going to try to push your creativity. Even though it's the phone, I'm going to take these assignments very seriously, right? Because I really want you to be not experts, but at least pretty savvy with technology by by the end. So this is one of the photographs that I took on one of the ships, of the National Geographic ships. Sometimes I see people that they take photos with the phone and they just point and shoot and they don't even think about anything. But there's a thinking process. Some of the things that I'm going to be saying you might have heard before. So, Mel, I want you to look at this photograph, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about it. Why do you think, if you guys are okay with it, besides me talking all the time, I'm going to be asking you questions. So you start thinking photographically with everything that you see, and we will be learning, you will be learning at different levels. So what do you see in this photograph? This is just an iPhone shot. There's no mystery to it. But what do you notice that I did when I took this photograph?
I like the fact that, well, there's pretty good focus on the whole picture, on the image, from foreground to background. I'm not sure color would have helped it much. Maybe given the points of interest in it. And I think I guess perspective. It's got. I like the perspective on it. You got good focus in the foreground, and even the pictures out front on the front deck there look like things are fairly decent in terms of focus and.
So
nice image.
Okay, this is just a snapshot, but the reason that I wanted to present it because even snapshots or like quick photographs that something you might be taking in the future or John with his Galaxy, I want you to think before taking every kind of photograph you're going to be taking with the phones. Something that I created here is there's lots of space in the foreground. Do you see how I leave that empty space? And there's a perspective. So basically, the sensation that I wanted to give you is that you're standing there looking at the logo that is being printed on the floor, and then you see the whole space in the room. But if you notice, as Mel was suggesting, everything is stark sharp, from foreground to midground to the background. Everything is in focus. The other thing that I took advantage of was organizing the geometrical lines. You see those columns? There's two columns, and there's two other columns inside. So basically, I'm taking you through a tunnel into the photograph, and everything looks very harmonic. Do you agree, John?
Yes.
Do you want to add something? I think in this system, and again, I'm completely new with Zoom. I'll be a professional by the end, hopefully. I think you can raise your hand by pointing something on your system, but we're such a small group that you can just talk anytime, you can interrupt, and you can say or add anything. Yes. So what do you think about this photo, John?
So I guess the first thing that hit me was from the compositional standpoint of what you just got done describing. I like the way you use the columns, the way the logo is laid into the floor. It's pointing you in the direction of where you want the eyes to go. And the fact that it is going out to the front of the ship, or at least I'm assuming it's the front of the ship, because I can see some people in the background. So I'm assuming they're standing on the deck looking out forward. So it to me, it's driving the whole image as you moving forward into something. And at least that's one thing I learned about taking photographs that you want to make sure they direct somebody from a compositional standpoint. It's directing somebody to look at what you want to see. So that was my first observation.
Absolutely. So, do you see, I know you're more beginner than Mel and John. Do you see these things that we're mentioning?
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at another photograph. I took this photo in Madagascar. This was photographed last year. This is also an iPhone photograph. Again, some of these photographs, they don't need to be the best images of my life. I just want to show you examples of things you're going to be working on. What thing calls your attention from this photo setting? What do you notice in this particular image?
Some people, they are not real.
Okay. They're not real. Why are they not real? They look like ghosts.
Yes.
Okay. So something that you're noticing here, there's certain people that they look still, right? That they're completely focused. And we have other people that they look like ghosts, right?
Yes.
I'm not gonna get into how to do this. Probably John and Mel, you already know, but I want you to show you different things that they've been done with the phone and understanding some of the techniques. This was also done with the phone, okay? Do you think this photograph works, Setin? Why do you like this photograph or you don't like? Are the three of you okay that we talk about photography in general beyond iPhone? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So Setin, why do you like this photograph or what will you change or why do you think this photo is all about?
I like this photo because these kids are very cute and they are they three of them have almost the same expression and they are doing some very cute expression.
I agree with you. What I like about the photograph is that repetition works. Remember, John, Mel, you already heard this from me. Repetition works. So when we do assignments at home, and Setting, you can write this down. Repetition is something that is very powerful. Whether you're repeating glasses, tiles, or bicycles parked outside the street. The other thing that I think that makes this photograph interesting is that the three of the kids, they're directly interacting with me, the photographer at that time, but one of the kids does not even care that I'm there and is playing with the other kids as he's using binoculars or looking through a viewfinder. So I think that what makes the photograph fun and interesting. So I'm going to be sharing you some ideas of things you can do with your phone. So I photographed this image in Cuba, right? But I also did this same thing at the same time. So these ideas, I want you to take notes because you're going to be doing assignments. I also did this with the phone and it's the same scene. You see, I produced a photograph,
Oh,
And a video.
produce a photograph and a video of exactly the same scene. Why is this interesting? Because you're going to be doing assignments and you can have a photograph and you can have the sound that was happening when that photograph was taken, right? So some of my teaching and some of my suggestions here is not only going to be photographic, you're going to start thinking in terms of multimedia, right? Because the phone is like a mini lab. It's going to allow us to do so many things at the same time.
So, Kike,
Yes, absolutely.
quick
Yes.
question on that one. The photograph you took, was that taken as a photograph or was that taken as a clip off of the video?
Okay, good question, John. The actual photograph is a real photograph.
Okay.
And so what I use is I pretty much place myself in one spot, I produce the image, and then I kept on going and I did the video because you always want to have the highest resolution of everything that you produce. Okay, that's very, very important. This is just a reflection of a shadow in a car. These are just ideas for you to start seeing. See how sharp everything is. This is a book that I was working on Colombian healers. This is in the Guajira. These are just medicinal plants. But while I was interviewing and recording things, I was taking mental notes of details. So on the project you're going to be working, you can also do these things. This was photographed in my apartment in New York. That it's impossible to go right now. Is the epicenter of the coronavirus in the US and probably the world. My neighborhood, by the way. The hospital you see in CNN, we donated books from the adventures of Billy 2 months ago. Crazy enough. So this was done in the our building has a garden inside. So this is people in the neighborhood. But these are iPhone pictures, right? They look pretty cool. Don't you agree? They look very professional, very well put together, but still it's just a phone. It's almost like a quick snapshot of reality there. but see how I organize. This one is more focusing on the actual girl, the dancer. This is an Indian dancer, so you can see all the details. This one is becoming more of an environmental portrait.
Kike,
Yes.
can I ask you, what is the comparison between the optics in the iPhone versus in a good 35 millimeter camera?
Okay, Mel. So that's a very good question, and as you know, I'm not a super technical person. Obviously, a camera with a big sensor is always going to have better quality. There's no doubt. Like if you want to do, I don't know, big prints displaying half of the wall, I will tell you use your camera. But the interesting thing about the iPhone, as you're going to see with this course by the end, is that it's an amazing tool. You always have it in your pocket. So if we learn how to use it properly, it's going to be your best friend, because there's no way you can have your camera everywhere in the same way you have your phone. So the iPhone will have a tiny sensor compared with a larger, but the quality of the images with the iPhone 11 right now, they're pretty amazing. As I said, I'm going to look for those clips. I'm going to send them to you, the images I took during my trip, and they were already published in media. And let me show you something else, and I'll answer your question again. So all these images were also taken with an iPhone, right? Some of them, they look pretty professional, right? Like the white background with the girl and the model, and this one that is like a cafe made out of like in a spaceship. So some of the things you can produce at home, you can use your imagination. The fact that you're using a phone doesn't mean that images, they need to be boring. They can be crazy, they can be different, or they can be quick snapshots of a carnival like this one in New York, right? So I was photographing with a big camera, but also these portraits, I was shooting them with my iPhone. So I combine both. I could have like a long lens, and I could be taking facial portraits of every girl, but maybe the group shot I shoot with the wide angle lens from the iPhone. So keep all these things in mind. So I want you to think again. Answering your question, Mel, this was the first time that a major publication published a story that was fully shot with an iPhone. I don't know if you knew this. This was a story by John Steinmeier, published in 2014, and it was a story connected with Jerusalem. The first cover was published in Sweden, and afterward it was published in 8 different countries, and the whole thing was photographed with an iPhone. So if National Geographic was publishing images taken with an iPhone, that tells you that the quality is already there. Might not be the best, but it's already out there. The way he did it, he used an application called Ispamatic, and he was pretty much photographing. This is how that's how the project was called. Something for you to remember, there's very useful application for your phones. One of the days, I think I'm gonna work on them, and we're gonna talk about them, because I have done extensive research, not only the applications that I use, but the ones that I want you to download if you feel they're interesting. Some of them are free, but I think you should all have it, at least be familiar with it. The other thing, John, you were telling me that you're studying editing, right? These are images that I photographed. These are videos that I shot in the Amazon using a drone, and the whole thing was edited like in 10 minutes on my phone. So everything was photographed from a drone, transferred into my small iPhone, and inside the phone I created this. So let's take a look.
So Kike, real
Yes.
quick.
Yes, hold on.
Was it? Oh,
Yes, yeah.
Was this shot then in JPEG or in RAW?
Which?
The photo that you took with the drone that was then edited.
Okay. So this is something that we can call as we move on. There's certain phones that allow you to photograph both JPEG and RAW. and there's some phones that they're only going to give you one option. Now there's new applications that they will give you both, and we'll talk about them. This one, John, this is video. I just want you to see the potential of the editing. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's pretty powerful, right? At least when I did this was on the Peruvian Amazon trip, the Nat Geo trip. So I was flying between landings. I created this, and I realized the power of the iPhone as an editing tool. So that's something that I'm gonna be asking you guys to do too. You can use it for more things. This was a sketch that I did on the Amazon. This is my own sketches, and then playing with the iPhone, I realized that you can make kind of funky stuff. You see how everything is moving and becomes almost interactive. So what I want you to start thinking, that the phone is not just a phone, that is a very advanced creative lab. There's so many things that you can do, and maybe you cannot sketch. Actually, my sketches, they don't look very good. That one looks very good. I don't know why, and a few others, but normally I'm not very good at it. But I want you to start thinking differently. When I give you assignments these days, you can do everything. We're not going to limit the projects you're going to be working on. I want you to explore the visual possibilities, the perspective, right? This is something that you can do at home when you order food. You're going to be doing the different stories that you're going to share with the group. So let's see what you come up with. And when you go to a restaurant or you photograph the room you're in, I want you to start looking at things differently. Remember, I was saying repetition works. I want everybody, or if somebody, what other things can you notice in this photograph? If any of you can answer. There's something else that brings this whole thing together. What do you think that is? There's something, an element besides repetition, that brings everything together, that makes the whole thing interesting, at least in my opinion.
Perspective?
Perspective could be one. I was looking for something else that is very, very important in photography. What else? I was
going to say the flowers and things along the ground that wrap around and go back into the dining room area. They kind of set up a framework to frame the entire picture itself.
That is completely true, but there's something else.
Depth of field? Depth of field?
No, I mean, yes, but no. But what I'm looking for is something different. You're missing a layer of information that is key in photography, and I want you to maximize it when you do the assignments and the projects these days that we're going to be together. What else is there that makes the whole thing come together? If you look at it, you can find it. I told you I'm gonna pick your mind, and I'm gonna start looking at images differently. What is in there that it's similar?
The light.
The light. What else?
Shadows.
Color. This whole photograph it's almost, I wouldn't say monochrome, but it's almost duotone. It's mostly brown and a little green, you see? So when you do your images, and we can spend some time talking about color, you can bring color into your images. Do you see what I'm saying, Setting?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so this is very important. Color brings everything together, right? For example, if you look at John's screen, and there's a magenta coloration because light is going through those curtains. Do you see?
Yeah.
On this one that we have in front of the photograph that we're looking at, it's kind of brownish or almost orangey, brownish. So that's something that brought the whole thing together. What about here? What is the color here? Green, right?
The green.
Yes. What other, something else that is interesting in this photograph? What have I done here? Where is the subject placed?
Subject's placed right in the middle of the screen.
It's
or in
placed
the
in the
photo.
middle of the screen, and there's two diagonal lines, right?
Right.
That they come all the way from the corners, and they come directly into where I want you to look, the eyes and the face. Do you all see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And also, sometimes when we start taking photographs, the first photographs we take, don't take them very seriously because maybe people need time to relax. But in many occasions, those first photographs, they're going to be the best photographs we take. So don't take them seriously, but be aware that maybe these are the best photos you will take. So phones can be used to do this. You know, you can place your phone on a telescope when you photograph birds. This is called digiscoping. I also use the phone to do things like this. This is my journal. I write a journal of my adventures, and I use the phone to document. So the phone becomes like a tool. It's like a complement. You see, this is what I sketch, not very good sketches, but this is personal records. So you can convert everything into your personal sketches. You see? So when we do the project these days, you can do anything. I just want to give you some ideas, and it's very important how we focus. I'm not gonna talk about focus. This is just like an opener for all of you. You know, where I'm focusing, on the foreground, on the background, or everything is in focus. There's something with the phone that you can actually choose your focusing. Sorry about that. I don't know what is happening. So you see, depending where I focus. And we can take portraits, right? And we'll talk about portraits. And this was an iPhone photo too, right? I was doing my professional images, shooting, you know, with my big cameras, but I also took these photographs, and I think they look as good as the other ones that I took. So all the rules of photography, they apply here too. This one was also taken with the phone, right? This one was also taken with the phone. So hopefully very slowly I'm convincing you that this is a great tool. Might not so intuitive to use at times. And the phone is fantastic to photograph things very, very close, right? When we do assignments at home, you can do close. What do these photographs have in common is that it's a zenithal look. Everything has been photographed from the top to the bottom. Everything is sharp on the most important layer that happens to be the food or that flower. And the other thing, that there's a background. Do you all see a background that is red, white over there? And this one is wood. Excuse me. When you do this at home, I want you to be aware of those backgrounds, right? That was also taken with the iPhone. This was also taken with an iPhone.
Hey, Kike?
Yes?
Yeah, maybe I should mention that picture you took of the lady with the fruit and the bowl on her head.
Yeah.
The other people on this meeting are not aware that you actually had her set that up. And a lot of us probably are too shy to actually go up to somebody like that
Yes.
to create that picture that we took.
Yes, that's a good point, Mel. Thank you for pointing that out. So that was a setup photo that we created in one of our trips, actually on the last one. And what Mel is saying is quite important. Many times people have a problem approaching people they don't know. There's a way around, and maybe we can devote some time to talk about when somebody gives you an assignment, whether it's a publication or you give an assignment to yourself, like the one that I'm going to give you at the end of this class, you feel empowered to produce things that normally you would not do because you're shy. Maybe it's not going to be possible to photograph people because the quarantine different. All of you have different circumstances, but the important thing to remember in the future is that when you go out on a trip or when you work on a project, suddenly you feel empowered to do things that normally you will be afraid of doing, man. So before you go on a trip, you may say, okay, I'm going to be photographing one different person on every trip that I do. And you start training yourself in order to do that. So that's something that I will highly recommend doing. And the other thing is that with phones, sometimes people don't even know that you're taking their shot. Like this guy was selling hats. Well, he was actually sleeping, but in theory he was working. So, you can do so many different things, or you can even capture things in real life as they happen. So you see, the iPhone is always present, and that's something that I was trying to share with you before. The camera is cumbersome. It's like a tool that is in between the subject and yourself. The phone, people are so used to phones, they don't even see it anymore. You can be photographed anything. Another example of what I was telling you before, uh, check how they cut the face. But I want you to look about the multimedia approach. This is the same idea. So you see, you can bring your viewers to your own world, right? Like if I photograph just the face and the market, you don't understand. But if I put the sound and the movement, the whole thing becomes three-dimensional, and that's something that is very cool, in my opinion. And we will be playing with color, right? Color can be used in so many different ways. I was photographing. These are Malay apple trees that they drop in the jungle. This is the actual rainforest, but see how beautiful the pink or the fuchsia with the green. So color is everywhere. And when you do selfies or you photograph your surroundings, the use of that color is very important in your assignments and in your projects. You see? So these photographs are not only driven by the fact that that's actually water covered with vegetation, is the fact that your brain can understand that there's people staring maybe from a small boat into a lagoon. This happens to be the Amazon. So using color is very important. We're gonna be using panoramas. This is something I'm sure you're very familiar with. If not, we'll talk about it. And you can create all these things with the phone, even in your apartment, right? And we will experiment with this. And we will be using video in the same way you have been seeing. So these are random encounters on the left, and the other one is a performance. So I want you to start thinking in terms of video. So not only you're going to be photographing things and moments, you're going to start producing very short videos. And those videos, they don't need to be like 3 minutes because they become very unstable. Maybe 10 seconds is enough. Let's take a look of these samples. So in the future, when we do assignments, when you go on a trip, when you do whatever you do, this is what we're going to be doing. You're going to be taking photographs and you're going to be producing short videos. A little trick for all of you. People tend to do videos vertical. That's a mistake. It's better. I mean, it's a choice, not a mistake. But what I'm going to suggest is that when you produce videos, and this is something that you should take note, mental note, or just remember, horizontal videos are easier and better to edit. So when we work on an editing program, you want to have those videos horizontal, and then you can crop them if you want. But initially, you want everything horizontal. Okay, there's a whole bunch of filters that you find everywhere. Okay, and we will be talking about filters. Another example of an iPhone, very simple photograph, pretty moment of a girl touching the water. And of course, there's the flash. We will be talking about flash. Do we use the flash or not use the flash when we do our photographs? And there's the self-timer that we will talk about. And these are things I'm going to be skipping. And of course, the phone can be used for taking memories of our own experiences, right? We will probably explore those ideas. And you see how sharp everything is. And there's a reason. The lens is very tiny, and the distance between the lens and the sensor is minimum. So the phones, any phones are very accurate and they're very sharp if you know them how to use them properly. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind. Notice how I make sure that the spider is in focus. That's the priority. And the next day we will be talking about that. This is just, today is a nice breaker. And remember, no one is going to teach you everything. There's no way I can teach you everything. On every class, on every gathering, I'm going to give you ideas. I'm going to make it very interactive. I will ask you to take it very seriously, everything that we do, because this is my first online class made this way, and I have done, and I'm going to make a big effort to make it very well, very good, because I'm planning on repeating them in the future. So you're my guinea pigs. So if you take advantage of the opportunity, I'm gonna work very hard to teach you as much as I can. So because we're all confined, I think it's a great moment to start learning and taking time. What is interesting about this photograph that we have here? Who wants to comment on this photo? What do you see there? Do you guys see it?
Well, I think that there's the repetition of the tripods, the setup, the use of the shadows to create a deeper depth. The way it's composed, it's offset a little bit, so your eyes are kind of drawn towards the right of the photo with the shadows. I mean, that's my observation.
It looks like they're ghosts.
Yes. Well, the idea, maybe I was not very successful, but basically, what is happening? Somebody is grabbing somebody else from the neck, from behind. So that's what I'm trying to portray. That you see the one on the left smiling, but then on the other hand, the one on the back is actually grabbing the neck from behind. So you see, you can create these images that they're like mini statements of things you feel they're funny or interesting. And you see how color and how subjects, they're everywhere. Like there's so many things that we can photograph. This is the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. This was photographed with the phone. This is 100% phone. This is also photographed with a phone. I was documenting an indigenous celebration in El Cesar, on a department in Colombia. The interesting thing about the phone, which I already said, is that maybe it's the only camera you have in your pocket. So why not learn how to use it to the maximum if it's the only camera you're probably going to have all the time, all your life, wherever you go. So that's something that, but above all, it's very important for you to have fun. This is something that we put together on my trip in Madagascar. And you see how playful you can become with phones and videos. Hopefully it's going to work. So that's actually a chameleon walking. We didn't alter that video at all. That's the way it was moving. It was moving one leg front, one way back. So when you mix the music with the motion, I thought it was very interesting. So I think we need to kind of wrap up today. But every day we went over time, but it's okay. Every day I want to teach or to talk about something. Maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're not familiar with it. So today I want to talk about a lady called Kathy Ryan. She's the editor of the New York Times Magazine, and she produced a book called Office Romance, and the whole thing was photographed using an iPhone. So these are the images. And hopefully I will discover a new photographer and a new project, so I will probably look for links and send them to you later. But this is the book that was published by Aperture. And basically she described the whole thing as love song to life. Everything was photographed inside the office. So this is the New York Times building in 42nd Street in New York. And the whole thing was photographed using the phone. See how there's a strong connection between photography and architecture and the quality of light and shadow and highlights. And the whole thing is pretty fantastic. I don't know if you've seen these images before, but I thought they were perfect for today because everything is being taken with the phone, and they're just absolutely fantastic. See the quality of the light, the repetition. Obviously, she's working in a setting that is superb, right? Like the quality of light in that building is very unique. But also, she had the vision to create the project and start capturing things in that way. You see how it's using the lines going through windows, highlights and lowlights, silhouettes. It's all about textures and patterns. And now there's a short video that I want you to watch. Hopefully it's going to work. Again, this is experimentation for me. So it's Kathy Ryan talking about her own project. Can you hear? Can you see? Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Kike, is there sound with this? Because I'm not hearing any sound.
You're not hearing any sound?
Me either.
No?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm seeing the image, but I'm not hearing any sound.
Yes, okay. So actually there's sound connected with these. If it doesn't work, I was just wrapping the whole thing here, wrapping up, but I'm sure, okay.
I don't even, well, at this point, I don't even have the picture anymore.
Okay, no, hold on one sec. Okay, share. Bear with me. Can you guys see that again?
Yep.
Okay, so hopefully now sound is gonna be there. Let's try. If not, I'll send you the link afterwards. Hold on.
Aperture.
Can you hear sound?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
And it took me a while till I saw it. You know, I didn't see it right away. And then once I saw it, there was just no going back. I was like, this building is amazing. And romance is good. You know, there's not all that much, I don't know, an art that's romantic, and why not? You know, and this building's the place to do it. One day here, I saw a zigzag of light on one of the staircases along the window wall, and I thought, oh my heavens. And from that moment on, I just fell in love with the light, and I realized that this building is truly extraordinary. When Renzo Piano was commissioned by Arthur Sulzberger to build this building, one of the challenges he faced was that he had to basically control the amount of light and heat coming into the building for energy reasons. And he came up with this ingenious solution of these white ceramic rods. And they have turned out to be just this incredible thing for pictures because they cast phenomenal shadows that change all the time. And then I reached in my pocket and I took out the cell phone thinking, oh, I should make a picture of this. And then I posted it on Instagram, and then from that moment on, I was kind of hooked. New York City alone is filled with all of these office towers. How many photo stories do you see from inside them? None. So I thought, oh my God, there's like a gigantic subject there that's uncovered, and I'm fortunate enough to be in a building with amazing light in the middle of Times Square. He had these romantic notions in his mind. I had never talked to him. I've still never met him, you know, and I love the idea that I was totally tapping into his romantic obsessions in a different way. So anyway, it was like a meeting of the minds or a meeting of the hearts. I love the playfulness of Instagram. I love the fact that you can make a picture, and when you send it out there, you're engaging in this dialogue. It's fast, it's part of my day. And I like the challenge of trying to put it right out there before I'm sure myself whether it's good enough. I mean, making the book, it's an experiment. Like, it's interesting to see, will people accept a book made of Instagram pictures? And I think, why not? I don't have any issues with whether you can make a legitimate picture on a cell phone. Of course you can. If it renders an image, it's what you do with it. Feel like there's some kind of, I don't know, just record of a reaction to the day, to the light, to the people here. And to be able to capture it in a book it's kind of a thrilling thing for me.
Very interesting, right? I thought it was very interesting, especially because it was fully done with phones. She's a worldwide known editor for the New York Times Magazine, and of course, her understanding of storytelling and visual it's perfect. So we're gonna be wrapping the class for today, and I'm gonna give you an assignment, right? I will probably email you some things that we can do. I have a question. Do the three of us use WhatsApp? I don't remember if you do or you don't. Are you on WhatsApp, Mel?
I have it on my phone, yes.
Okay. If not, we will communicate via email. I just want to find ways to do this easier. So the first assignment that you have for the next class, I want you to take 5 photographs, right? And I'm not gonna tell you what are you gonna be photographing. They can be photographs of whatever you want. You have like a full freedom, but they cannot be connected. That is, you're not gonna come to me with a story because this is something that we'll be doing later on. So you have to photograph 5 things, 5 people. I mean, blank options. They're not interconnected, and you will send them to me via email, right? I will send you when do I need them by, and you will come ready. So you will explain the group. Why did you choose those photographs? What were the challenging of producing those photographs? And why did you choose those photographs versus other photographs that probably you didn't include? So when you explore your home, your surroundings, depending on your lifestyle these days, you're all gonna come back with different work. That's okay. If you just photograph the room, that's okay too. That's your own choice. But you need to come back to me and tell the group why. Why do you choose number 1? Why number 2, number 3, and number 4, and number 5? So that's going to be 1. And the other interesting thing that I'm gonna ask you to do is, each of you're gonna work on a project. So you have to start thinking on a project that you're gonna be photographing during the whole course, and then we will be presenting at the end. Excuse me. What do I mean by a project? It can be anything and everything, but you have to put it together as a package. So you need to convince us that what you have created it's important. Why do you decide to photograph that particular project? You can do it in any way. I will help you put it together. We will review that project too. So for now, the assignment is 5 photographs of things that are not connected and tell us why you chose them. And then start thinking of a project you're going to be producing during the class, the duration of the course, and come to us with a statement, meaning you need to describe the class in 10 lines, 5 lines. Why are you going to work on that project?